Hey Erica,
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Pretty good.
I'm so glad we're chatting today because, the other day you and I were chatting about networking and virtual networking, and I was like, you do such a good job at that. And just the conversation we're having, I thought, you know what, we need to share this with our clients. So I wanted to talk to you more in depth about virtual networking, who it's good for, where do we do that virtual networking. Obviously in the pandemic it probably came to the forefront, but just like, what are your thoughts on that? How has it worked for you? And dive into all of that stuff. So thank you again for joining us. So tell me, like, how long you've been, I know you network in person obviously before the pandemic, and you might be starting to go back more in person now, but I know, have you been using virtual networking to benefit your business for a long time or just recently?
Yeah, no, I've actually been networking during the entirety of my business. I opened my marketing agency, Pixel Power, in 2015. And I would say that I actually started networking before that because even when I was coming out of college, it was about in 2007, I started to network to look for jobs. And I had a very specific track that I wanted to be in. I knew that I wanted to work with companies who were invested in sustainability. And so I started doing a lot of um, virtual networking because that way I could connect with other organizations that were all over the nation, just not the ones in my hometown or where my school was. It was really important for me to be able to reach out to lots of different people and places so that I could get my foot in the door somewhere. um, so that same mentality is what I brought into my own business. I had a certain kind of client that I wanted to work with, and they weren't necessarily going to be down the street from me. They could be anywhere. And so that virtual networking has been really key for growing my clientele over the years.
Yeah, that's what I love about, about it is you can reach globally. You can reach outside our local area and meet really anyone who could potentially help you grow your business, or you could help them grow their business, or maybe you can connect them to somebody else, or something like that. So I think it's a great opportunity to to grow and to learn more about what's out there.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. I do a lot of local in-person networking as well, but as we've seen, a lot of these same organizations that I go to in person have more virtual events. It's really been beneficial that I had that experience already to go to these things. I know it really threw a lot of people for a loop when they needed to get on their computer and get a webcam and start to chat with people that way. And some people never quite felt comfortable on camera like that. They just felt that they were just going to wait until an in-person event came around. But I think that that's a big mistake because what it means if you wait for in-person events is that you're still brand new. All the people who showed up to the virtual things are already well known. Their names are out there. Maybe they've never met in person yet, but when they, walk up to these people they've talked to virtually, they're like, hey, hey, Erica, I've never actually seen you in person. I've had that happen a couple of times recently. But when you didn't, go to any of those virtual things, you're brand spanking new. You have, much less of a time period to grow those relationships. So virtual networking can just help you have many more touch points with all of these people that you want to communicate with.
Yeah. Right. Because I think, some people think, oh, that's like a cold sales call or something, but not if you're going to the events that these organizations or chambers or whatever are offering and getting involved in them. Or even like I just recently took a certificate program and three people reached out to me and said, let's stay in touch. I'm like, great, let's stay in touch. Right. And so we didn't chat at all during the time, but we all had each other's like bios, and
Hmm.
based on the work we were turning in, we all had the same goals for the organizations we were working for. So
Right.
we're starting to email now with each other. And
Yeah,
yeah,
that's a really good example. And I think that those who are concerned that think it'll just feel like a cold sales call, they shouldn't think about it that way, because just like when you show up in person, you would never walk up to someone and try to sell them, right? You're actually showing up there and you're trying to develop a relationship. You're trying to get to know them, let them get to know you, both what you do as a professional, but who you are in your personal life as well. So it isn't a sales call in either situation. You treat it the same way.
yeah, yeah. Do you think that it's like, okay, it's not good for this industry, but it's really good for this industry? Or do you think that even matters? Can anyone use virtual networking?
I think anyone can use virtual networking. Um, for me, I think it's really beneficial to be able to get my name out there, far past local, because I'm looking to work with a certain kind of client. And I'm also looking to learn from other business owners who do things similar to what I do. So I also do a lot of networking with organizations like the American Marketing Association, for instance. Those are a whole lot of people who do very similar things to what I do. But this is how we keep up with trends, right? This is how we learn about new programs, new ways of doing things. If you're just kind of in your own little bubble and you're not networking at all and learning from other people and seeing what's new and up and coming, you're going to fall behind, and you just don't have to do that if you just put yourself out there.
Well, yeah, I mean, networking's research, relationship building,
Mhm.
understanding your market right now. So it's not just like, oh, hi, my name is, and this is what I do. It's so
Right.
much more. And
Yeah. And I was thinking, another way to virtually network is actually through your social media pages. I know everyone out there is like, oh, I have to be more active on social media, but I don't think that they're always grasping that that is a relationship building tool. It's not really just somewhere that you run ad after ad. It's somewhere that you allow people to get to know who you are in your business and attract them to you so they want to work with you. So it's very much the same as a virtual networking that's live. If you're posting videos and you're talking, to your ideal client, or you're providing them with value, you're developing a relationship, even if you don't know exactly who that person is that you're talking to, because you're not sure who's watching, right? They're watching you, and I've had such good success with that kind of networking, especially via LinkedIn. If I am connecting with people regularly on LinkedIn and I'm putting out a lot of informational posts about myself, my business, things that I'm interested in, I will get contacted by people. And, it's not always like oh, I posted something today and they contacted me immediately. It's usually that they're watching for a while. They're allowing you to keep talking to them. And interestingly, those people who reach out and they're ready to buy right now, they're not typically the people who are liking and sharing your posts. They're just watching silently and getting comfortable with you. So it's a fantastic way
that's
to
so
build your
true.
business.
Oh my gosh, that's so true, because you are trying to like decide, because that's what it is. It's know, like, and trust, right? Lindsay says that, you say that, like, it's about, even in person, it's about know, like, and trust. That's why we stress that it's about that relationship building. And while you may not be talking to the person directly, you do get to know the person through the way they interact on camera or in their videos or on their social media and whatnot. So that's a
Exactly.
really wonderful point to make.
Yeah. And one other thing with the virtual networking is that the people who you're talking to online, they get to know your personality. And so usually when they reach out to you, they know that you're going to be a good fit for them. The two of you are going to jive well. So it's really nothing like a cold sales call because you're not trying to convince somebody on the spot to buy from you. They've already developed an opinion about who you are and who you are in your life, and they think, that is a person I can work with. So highly recommend.
So with that, not, I mean, obviously you can help as one of our coaches to increase, make their LinkedIn stand out more, maybe coach them on those videos and things like that for their social media. But what are some groups, or, beside, like, I know there are chambers, or what groups or platforms do you suggest getting involved in, and maybe some tips on how to initially start
Sure.
virtual networking?
So I would recommend getting on to a couple of platforms come to mind right away. Mighty Networks is one. I am in a really great, it's purely networking group for designers who are interested in sustainability and environmental issues on Mighty Networks. And, it's really great because the group not only meets regularly and shares ideas and thoughts, but they also do collaborations. And so I would look to see if there's something in Mighty Networks that applies to something that you're interested in. It may or may not be related to your work itself, because remember, you're trying to develop relationships with people who may need your service, not necessarily are completely enveloped in that kind of service at all times, right? And they may not need your service, but they may know someone who does. So just developing relationships. Another platform, silly enough, is meetup.com. That's a great place where you can go and meet other professionals or people who like hiking or things like that. You'd be surprised the kinds of people that you can meet just by getting involved in your community. There are professional networking groups. One of them is called BNI. It's Business Networking International. It is a really interesting group because each chapter has one representative from each industry. So you're never in a chapter with someone who does what you do. And the whole idea behind it is that you get together weekly and you develop relationships together so that you can recommend business to each other. So it's very much structured with that purpose in mind. So that's a good one to get involved with. I'm trying to think. Also, alumni associations have been really fabulous for me too. And that might be your school, but it also might be a program that you went through, or just something that they keep in touch with you because you've been involved with them in the past. It's a really great way to meet other people who may need your services or know someone who does.
And real quick, what are some of your thoughts on, okay, well, I want to reach out to this person. I'm not sure what to say. How do I set up a Zoom? Do we set up a phone call first? Do I just do an email? I'm all like, just take the plunge, hi, I want to meet you. I'm a little more gutsy that way. Like,
for me as the vendor trying to make a sale, or
yeah, or like you're just trying to make that connection. Like, you don't want to be too salesy, but like,
sure.
Open up a conversation, especially if you like don't know them at all,
Right. I do not do a whole lot of like cold messaging. I actually don't believe in it. That there are different schools of thought in this. So I don't message people out of the blue. I will connect with people on LinkedIn, or if I've met them in a chamber meeting, maybe then I'll connect with them and say, hey, I really enjoyed speaking with you, at such and such event. I'd love to grab coffee or learn more about what you do. Showing an interest in them is really important, and not just trying to sell what it is that you do. So making sure that you actually have something relevant to say, and if you're going to message them directly. I guess that's all
yeah. Well, no, it's hard. It is hard to figure out, I get those on LinkedIn, like, oh, I think we should meet. I'm like, why? Like, you're like in animation and I do, like completely different.
Yeah. And I'm completely opposed to that.
I'm opposed to that too. I just,
I don't do it, and I don't appreciate when people do that to me. I am fine though if they send me a connection request, if it's not accompanied with some kind of pitch or pretend conversation. A connection request is fine. It means that they've run across me. They think, oh, this looks like a person that I might want to see their content when they post it. And I'll do the same with other people. I will request other people who I think this is someone who I might like to work with, or I might like the circle that they are in.
Mhm.
I like the kinds of things that they're posting, and I want to see them more. So I'm going to connect with this person. And I think that that's more the way to go. I really avoid any of this pitching thing.
Right.
And that's it, why it's important to keep up with your social media posting. If you're going to connect with people in that way, you don't want to connect with them and then never post anything, because then they're not seeing anything from you. And so I feel that other people try to market themselves instead of posting by cold messaging people. And I think it's a really big turnoff. So if you can take the time to actually create content for your LinkedIn page or whichever platform you're using, people will start to see what you're putting out there. And you don't have to have that kind of creepy feel by direct messaging them.
You're right. I do agree that maybe you chatted with someone at your chamber event, then you reach out. But the fake pitch, no, there's got to be a reason, a better reason, or you did come across them, or you know someone you have in common or something like that.
Exactly. Yeah. And those commonalities, I think they go a long way. I'm usually connecting with people who are a second degree connection on LinkedIn, for instance. So we have a person in common. And they look at it the same way, like, oh, well, she knows so and so. And so, I'm going to accept her into my circle of friends because she seems relevant. So I think that's a good way to go about
And
it.
I also think real quick that a lot of people maybe during the pandemic, because we couldn't go out, maybe reconnected with people they hadn't talked to in a while, or,
Mhm.
you know, maybe you had a little more time or something. So maybe a conference you were at last year, you went back and, maybe made some of those calls or, emails to people that, oh, I can't see you this year, but, those are good ways to do that too.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And you're right. I think I did have some instances where that happened. And sometimes you actually think, oh, well, I'm going to see this person at such and such thing. And then when the event gets canceled, you actually do have a reason to reach out like, hey, I was actually really looking forward to seeing you at this event, but we're not going. And so, maybe we could have a chat.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, any other tips that you have for virtual networking? I know I'm glad we chatted because I know it's been so beneficial to you and it's not as difficult as it may seem. And, it's, I mean, obviously it's low cost entry, right? You're not paying to go to an event or something like that. So
Yeah, not
the
typically.
opportunity to build a brand, gain leads, referrals, things like that is so beneficial to virtual networking.
Yeah, it really is. I think as far as tips go, I would try out a lot of different groups, things that you think are relevant. You will learn over time which groups don't take you anywhere, or you're not vibing with the group, even if the overarching topic is something you're interested in. It might not be your type of people. Um, and so, don't throw virtual networking out the window. It's the same as in-person networking. If you're just not feeling like you fit in there, try a different group. Also, give it a chance. If you just meet one or two times and you're feeling like I'm not sure, or you're just really nervous, it's not time to throw in the towel. It's way too early. You have to remember that these are people who are looking to develop relationships, and you just can't develop a relationship in one or two 20-minute chats. So it's just the beginning. They're just getting to know you, recognize who you are. So I have to give it a little bit of time before you actually can start getting referrals from those groups.
Well, great. Well, thank you so much. I hope everyone goes out and does some sort of virtual networking. And even though we are opening up some, I think, obviously it's here to stay and going to only grow as we also can reach more people around the country or world that we may be interested in knowing or collaborating with or whatnot. So thank you so much, Erica. And I look forward to chatting with you again.
Well, thank you for having me.